Vane Brothers headquarters moved twice over the first several decades of the company's existence. After Captains Burke and Alan Vane initially occupied a two-story brick building in Baltimore's Fells Point neighborhood, they shifted 12 years later to a property in the heart of the city's Inner Harbor area. This put the chandlery right at the center of the Baltimore shipping trade, at least for the time being. As ships grew larger, the historically shallow water of the Inner Harbor proved problematic. In addition, a shift in the city's economic priorities, highlighted by a massive urban redevelopment project that began in the 1950s, ended both the freight and passenger use of the area. By 1958, maritime businesses had all but abandoned the old harbor for sites in more industrially focused Baltimore locations such as Canton, Fells Point, and Locust Point. For Vane Brothers, which was now in the hands of Burke and Alan Vane's cousin, Charles Hughes Sr., and his son, Charles Jr., it was also time to move on. Returning the operation to Fells Point, the Hugheses settled in the former immigration building, which was owned by Captain Norman Cap Ruckert of Ruckert Terminals. The property happened to sit next door to the building that housed the original Vane Brothers chandlery. But like the Inner Harbor area, Fells Point eventually went through a transformation. The historic waterfront neighborhood became increasingly gentrified, making it an unlikely place for a growing Marine Service operation. Finally, in what has been referred to as a battle between quiche and cargo, the quiche won. The Fells Point waterfront embraced its new identity as an upscale residential area and tourist destination. In 1987, Vane Brothers moved to Lower Canton. The company's new home was Pier 11, former site of the United States Lines. The pier had served first as a passenger terminal and later a cargo terminal until operations ceased in 1969. The Pier 11 property offered 3,600 feet of deep-water berthing and 160,000 square feet of warehouse space on 13 acres. At the time, it seemed an unimaginably huge facility, despite the belief of Charles Hughes Jr. and his son, C. Duff Hughes, who joined the team in 1980, that a period of unprecedented growth for the company was just around the corner. Even by consolidating Vane Brothers operations and bringing together all of its employees, numbering 14 by that point, the Hugheses did not initially need all the space they had let. So it was that after refurbishing the offices, Charles Jr. and his son decided to take on tenants, one of which has written an inspirational history of its own and continues to intertwine with the Vane Brothers story.